Well, thank you all for coming this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to come to this press conference. This morning's press conference is really a bipartisan, bi-state effort to bring oversight and accountability to the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission in response to their recent toll hike. Today we have with us State Representative Bob Freeman from the 136th, and we also have with us Pat Boynton, who is the legislative aide to New Jersey State Senator Mike Doherty. And I want to thank Senator Doherty for his efforts and his time as he and I have met to discuss this legislation to make sure we've gotten everything that we need to have as far as identical language and to move this process forward. I'd also like to thank New Jersey Assemblyman John DeMeo for his effort and support on this issue as well. Back on May 2nd, the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission announced that they would be increasing tolls, and they did so without any public feedback or input, either from residents or the business community. In response to that announcement, on June 23rd, I held a press conference not far from here in the Portland Industrial Park, calling for a one-year moratorium of that toll increase. At that time, I submitted a letter to Frank McCartney, Executive Director of the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission, signed by 15 state representatives, both Democrat and Republican alike, and 2 state senators, asking and calling for a moratorium. That request was ignored by the Bridge Commission. In fact, I believe the response in the paper was no shot. So today, I've introduced 3 separate bills to address this issue. There are 2 purposes for this legislative package. One is to provide transparency and oversight to the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission and their use of revenue generated on the backs of our residents and business community. And 2, to grant the power to prevent future decisions of the Bridge Commission that it adversely impact our residents and businesses. In 1934, the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission was created through the formation of what is called a bi-state compact. So any effort to change that compact must require identical legislation to be passed by the New Jersey and Pennsylvania legislatures and the New Jersey and Pennsylvania governors. Today, an inconsistency in Pennsylvania law has resulted in a situation where neither the PA Auditor General nor New Jersey Office of State Auditor has the authority to conduct an audit of the Bridge Commission. My legislation, my first bill, will amend Pennsylvania law to provide that an annual financial and management audit of the Commission be performed jointly by the Auditor General of Pennsylvania and the State Auditor of New Jersey. The second bill will amend Pennsylvania law to grant the governor veto power over actions of Commission members from Pennsylvania. New Jersey has already enacted such a provision. I believe the governor of Pennsylvania should also have the authority to review and veto actions of Pennsylvania commissioners that do not serve the best interests of our residents, such as the toll hike increase. The final bill in the package sets forth the process by which the gubernatorial veto may be exercised. The governor would have 10 days to review the actions of the Pennsylvania commissioners and either ratify or veto those actions. At this point, I'd like to turn the microphone over to State Representative Bob Freeman for him to offer some statements. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. I am very pleased to be here this morning to join with my colleague, Joe Emrick, in promoting this package of bills. I think this bipartisan effort is a great way to proceed on trying to make some good reforms in terms of how the Delaware River Toll Bridge Commission conducts its business and how expenditures are dealt with and how tolls are set. The legislation that is being proposed today is practically identical to legislation which I proposed back in 1994. That was a package of bills that I had put forth with our Northampton County delegation, working with our colleagues in New Jersey to try and get that mirror language which is required, as Joe mentioned, in order for changes to be made regarding the compact between our 2 states and the Delaware River Toll Bridge Commission's operations. That legislation provided for a 1-year audit. It provided for a gubernatorial veto and a few other items as well. Unfortunately, that legislation was not enacted. We did promote it at the time when a previous rate increase was being proposed back in the 1990s. And at that time, the Bridge Commission backed off of their idea of a $1 toll, and they settled for a 75-cent toll. Subsequent legislation in a follow-up session did provide in Pennsylvania for a 2-year audit of the Bridge Commission's operations. But since that was not in sync with the New Jersey legislation, it had no effect in terms of changing the policies that are needed for an audit. So we really need the 1-year audit legislation to be in sync with the New Jersey legislation that has already passed back in the 1990s, and to ensure that we have the kind of public audits that would give us better insights into some financial decisions and the operations of the Commission itself. I think this package of bills, which we are going to promote as a bipartisan package to get the maximum support we can in the legislature, really speaks to 2 critical issues. One is transparency, as Joe has mentioned. This agency has to have the kind of accountability brought to it when it comes to how they operate, how their funds are used, and when it comes to issues such as toll increases. So the key here is transparency, and that's the auditing provision. The other key is actually accountability. And by giving the governors the ability to veto toll increases, we ensure that our elected officials are the ones who are held accountable on these decisions, that they cannot hide behind 10 appointed commissioners. And if a toll increase like the one that we've seen proposed is unreasonable, then the governor would have the power to step in and prevent that from happening. So I think with these 2 goals of transparency and accountability, we can move forward in making the Bridge Commission's operations more accountable and more in keeping with the wishes and needs of our constituents on both sides of the Delaware River.
Thank you, Bob. And now, Legislative Aide Pat Boynton would like to speak on behalf of Senator Doherty. So, Pat, come on up. Thank you.
All right, well, I want to first, send the senator's regrets because he wishes he could be here. He feels very strongly about this issue. He was outraged when the tolls were increased without any public input at all. He believes that the Toll Bridge Commission has operated for too long with little or no supervision, and he really wants that to change. He supports your efforts. All right, he supports your efforts to get the governor the veto power he needs over the commission.
Great. Thank you very much, Pat. In closing, I just want to say that there are a lot of people on both sides of the river who are greatly impacted by this toll increase. Especially in these economic times, people and businesses have earned the right to have their voices heard. This legislative package will give them that voice by ensuring openness and transparency and preventing similar incidents from happening again in the future. Thank you. We'll be happy to take any questions if anybody has them at this point. Yes, go ahead.
Hi. I was wondering why you weren't at the commission when the vote took place.
Why wasn't I at the?
Yeah.
I believe both of us were in Harrisburg in session. weren't we?
I think.
Okay.
What
I
day of the
believe
week was that?
Yeah.
I think it was a Wednesday.
Yeah, we were
So-
probably in session.
Yeah.
Okay.
In all likelihood.
If I remember correctly, that is correct.
Yeah.
We were in session. Yep. So, as much as we would have liked to have been there. Okay.
Any other
Great.
questions?
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.